Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show, where you'll find health and fitness inspiration, motivation, and information shared in 15-minute episodes. Tune in while getting a move on to make leading and enjoying the benefits of a healthy lifestyle almost too easy. It's the Fit 15. And now your host, Catherine Basu.
Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show. I'm your host, Catherine Basu, and it's another Monday, at least if you are tuning in the day this episode is scheduled to go live, where I have an awesome guest who is one of my neighbors here in the South Bay in Southern California. If you missed last week's episode on Monday, I had on Jeff Gaskin, who has started creating this great healthy beef jerky snack that you can pick up in the South Bay right now, and he'll be at farmers markets hopefully soon and have his website coming shortly. My guest today is another South Bay resident, Ann Dalkey. Ann is the president of this great nonprofit organization, Keep the Esplanade Beautiful. So Ann's going to tell us more about the organization, and let me tell you a little bit more about Ann before I share our conversation. Following 32 years working as a marine biologist, Ann took the opportunity to retire and accepted a position at the Palos Verdes Peninsula Land Conservancy working on habitat restoration. Now fully retired, Ann volunteers for a number of projects, including president for the Keep the Esplanade Beautiful nonprofit. This is a lovely resource for Redondo Beach and visitors, which is used extensively for all types of outdoor exercise. Well, welcome to the Fit 15, Ann. I'm so excited to have you as my guest today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So you're the president of Keep the Esplanade Beautiful. Could you share, just to get us started, what that organization is?
Okay. It started in 2013 with Joan Irvine, and she knew that the whole Esplanade area had been upgraded and didn't want to see it degrade. And of course, there's a lot of visitors with different behavior patterns.
Sure.
And she didn't want to see it degrade, and she was complaining to the city and everything. And finally, the light bulb came on. Look, why don't I be a positive advocate? Instead of complaining, do something about it. And therefore, she founded a group called Keep the Esplanade Beautiful, and they started doing First Saturday sweeps. I came aboard mainly to get involved. Joan has a social context that I lack. And then she really wanted it to become a nonprofit. And I'm pretty good at that kind of stuff. So in 2017, I became president. That's it. And I pushed the paperwork through between 2017 and 2018. And we're now an official 501c3 nonprofit. And with that, it makes the organization, brings in much more flexibility in how it functions. But you also need to maintain the tenets of the responsibilities of a 501c3. So I brought in those responsibilities. So there's paperwork and tax filing, and it's a very small organization, so it's not too much. But now we have a formal bank account, and we have a formal treasurer. I'm the president, and I also take care of duties what might be considered secretary because it's so small. But we spent the past year establishing the infrastructure. We have an annual meeting in April, which we call it a mixer, but it's really our annual meeting. So last April, we talked about we're going to be working on our infrastructure, and we have some funds. And now we are going to be working on building the organization. So we will be seeing things starting to happen. We'll be announcing them in April at our annual meeting or annual mixer. And it will all be announced through our Facebook. We are developing currently a web page. And so basically, we're a nascent organization, but we're going to be growing. And we're plotting and planning. That's not the best way to put it, but we are building out how we're going to move forward and how we're going to look at it. So the one thing we've all agreed upon is each year we're going to have a specific issue to promote to the people down at the Esplanade. So the Esplanade is really important. I've ridden my bike up and down the Strand. And when you ride a bike, you can talk to people. If you're running, you're busy,
right,
puffing and puffing. But when you're riding a bike, you meet people and you talk. Especially people rent bikes up and down the Strand, and I know that people from not only just our local community, but within the South Bay, Torrance, Inglewood, everywhere. If you just move away, kind of like in a concentric circle, you find people from everywhere in our local community, PV, all our inland cities, plus people from across the U.S., plus people from around the world. One day, I saw, it was clearly a rental car, and they had the what do they call it, on the top, the hatch open, and this guy was standing up videoing things as they were driving down the street. It was pretty clear it was an Asian group of guys that were visiting. So it's a tremendous resource. We want to take care of it. That's what Keep the Esplanade is doing by providing positive activity. But the activities down there are highly varied, and they're really entwined with personal health and fitness, because we have people walking, running, and the age group of walkers are from people taking their infants down, little kids, youngsters. Now, I know when our child was before driving age, the newly teens, he and his buddies would go down there and in the summertime try and see what they could get from the vendors, hot dogs and ice cream and whatever.
Hi friends, it's Catherine, and that little sound is the halfway point reminder for those of you using the episode to get in a 15-minute walk. If you're doing an out and back walk, you'll want to turn around now because we're 7.5 minutes into the episode and we will run a little bit over 15 minutes today. All right, back to our conversation.
I kind of felt bad for the guys, but this is a rite of passage, right?
Sure.
And they were down there with their bicycles. So they had a lot of fun going down there. We'd actually, they would bike over to the theaters. They found their places, special places of biking elsewhere. But bicycling is a very healthy activity, and we encouraged them to do that for transportation. And he learned he did not need a car for transportation, that there were ways around it. I've seen older people, they had caregivers that get them down there in walkers. Families are down there. Is just, yeah. And then there's weightlifters working out. There are people just sit there. When the city redid the Esplanade, people sit there. They have benches, or they built a little wall so that people could sit on it. People go down there and take photos of the sunsets, and this time of year they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just a real beehive of activities, and not too far is Riviera Village with restaurants, and you don't have to walk too far to get to the pier. So there's just a lot of activity of people getting workouts, invigorating their emotional health by just sitting out there and watching the world go by. And I confess, my husband and I will do that wherever we're traveling. Just sit and watch the world go by. We did a couple of those when we were on our travels in Norway this summer. We hiked over to a place where a lot of more locals were hiking around this trail. It was kind of hard to get to. And there was streams and a big lake that they would circumvent. We just sat there and watched the world go by. It just makes you feel good.
Yeah, relaxing,
so, Keep the Esplanade Beautiful works on, we try and bring people down there every first Saturday at 9:00. We have a first Saturday sweep, and people go up and down the Esplanade. We have permission with the Beaches and Harbors. LA County Department of Beaches and Harbors own the property right below the little boundary defined by this wall that the city put up that people sit on. And we have access to that. We get a permit from them. So we have the proper insurance and all that stuff. That's why being a 501c3 allows us to expand. So now we can get a lot of people down there and pick it up. We engaged with Heal the Bay on their annual September coastal cleanup, and we're utilizing their methodology so that we can compare and contrast our data to Heal the Bay. And actually, Heal the Bay is a participant, is actually an international event.
That I didn't realize.
Coordinate through California State. So this is a big event every September. So we advertise for that. But our first Saturday sweeps, we invoke the same methodology, and then we'll be utilizing the data on our website and at the sweeps, as well as on our Facebook page, so people know how we're doing, and we'll be graphing the data up. We just started this in April, so we'll be improving as we build our data. We can see, okay, the Esplanade is like this, and compared to what we see in Heal the Bay's annual report, and then the international report, how we're doing, and also if we can see if people's behaviors are improving.
Right.
That's important. Our goal is to essentially put us out of business, but we know there's always a small element of the population that aren't going to behave properly. But if we can reduce that and make most people aware of the best behavior while they're exercising, that would be really good. So, for instance, we've learned that where there's people that congregate for a variety of activities, we get more trash. Cigarette butts is one, and we know where those locations are. But we're going to start moving forward with our data a little bit later. We're going to always be collecting it. But if we can get the environment to look better, then everybody will be happier.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I definitely can attest to just being out there doing a cleanup and having people thank me and my partner for doing the work. So I think it is, just having that presence can be a really positive.
Yes, the locals are really, really happy because there are so many people out walking. They know us. They recognize us. We're formal. And we'll also be bringing our informational literature there. We cannot, because we've got a permit with Beaches and Harbors, they control our messaging, but we have our Facebook page and we have our, soon we're going to have our website. So, we just want to make it a nice place to be. And when we get those local visitors and visitors from throughout the U.S. and international visitors, they're going to see a great place, and they can go home and say, yeah, it was a really cool experience.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely grateful to have the Keep the Esplanade Beautiful organization out there. And I found it to be a nice way to just kind of get a little workout in, casual, but get some interaction as well. So good for the physical health, but also good for, social health, meeting some new friends, and always a good experience. So
one of the other activities we have been promoting, and I promote it within the city, the Riviera Village, or I'm trying to get to promote it more through them, is there at the southern end of the Redondo Beach area of the Esplanade, as well as over in Torrance area. there are some habitat areas that support the federally listed endangered El Segundo blue butterfly. So I do butterfly walks, and the Keep the Esplanade Beautiful has been supporting them from the very beginning when I first met Joan. And I do a walk and typically try and get it where they can see people can see the butterfly. And it's a little bit hard to call ahead of time, but I do it in conjunction with the Riviera Summer Festival, which is the last full weekend in June. So next year will be like June 29th and 30th. Take people down there and they get to see the butterfly, but we also talk about habitat.
Sure.
And the importance of it and what people can do locally. So this is another thing of expanding Keep the Esplanade's reach to inform people and enable them to participate in learning about things and also doing things at their own home to help nature.
Sure.
And it's not just the butterfly, but all of nature. So that is something that Keep the Esplanade Beautiful is supporting, and some of the bigger picture things are going to be dealt with other organizations that I interface with. But Keep the Esplanade Beautiful will be promoting that, and it's really fun. So this is something that everybody likes. The kids are really happy to see them, as well as adults, and that's a resource we have right there. The photographers, once they learn how to spot the butterfly, you can just sit on that little fence there and see the endangered species. I don't know, frankly, of any other endangered species where you can park your car on the street, walk across the sidewalk, and see a butterfly that's considered endangered. And of course, the reason why it's endangered is we paved over paradise.
Right.
You'll see that advocacy through Keep the Esplanade Beautiful of promoting butterfly habitat within the urban landscape.
Well, that's something exciting to me. My goal in life was to be an entomologist when I was a kid. So.
Oh my. It just got sideways. So you must plan to come down on June 29th or 30th.
Yeah. No, that would be cool.
And we meet right there at the end of the Esplanade, and then we take it from there.
Very cool. Well, lots of exciting.
I'll know where the butterflies are, so we'll go find the best explosion.
I was gonna say, now what I don't know their life cycle, but is that a specific time of year for them, or do they? I mean, I guess with the weather here, how is that cycle go?
As a career marine biologist, I always loved to garden and I loved to backpack. I loved to hike. I really like being outdoors, and I've always found those jobs where I can spend time outdoors.
Yep.
So after I had retired, and I picked up a job with a nonprofit, the Palos Verdes Peninsula Land Conservancy, I then learned about the Palos Verde blue butterfly, which is highly endangered, and I learned about these single brood butterflies, which are a common thing within the blue butterfly family. There's a lot of different blue butterflies. And I also learned about the El Segundo blue butterfly, which is endangered, but we have an opportunity to what they call downlist or even delist. Downlist means take it from endangered to threatened, or delist it, remove it altogether, if we can build a big enough population. So what the butterfly does is it flies in June and July and maybe even in August. It needs a specific plant called the Seacliff wild buckwheat, or the Seacliff buckwheat if you want to get short. And it's been installed at both Torrance Beach and Redondo Beach, and there's naturally occurring plants in Malaga Cove. It was first discovered up by the Bologna wetlands area, and there's a population underneath the sand dunes where the jets take off from LAX, and on Dockweiler's in the same area. The Hyperion treatment plant has, on the beach side, they've put in the host plant, the buckwheat, and a few other
Okay.
native plants.
Okay.
And they are there. And they're out at Point Vicente. And they're there in Malaga Cove, in Torrance Beach, and Redondo Beach. So the adults come out when the flowers are blooming. And of course, their first job is to mate. And then the females lay eggs, and their little caterpillars come out. And all caterpillars are larvae. And you probably know, in entomologist parlance, they chow down. They are basically eating machines.
Sure.
And so these things are teeny tiny. The adult butterfly is about as big as your thumbnail. And the larvae come out teeny tiny. I've never seen the baby, the first instar, they call it instar,
Sure.
and they molt 5 times. I've seen the 4th and 5th instars, but not any longer before that, because they are so tiny and they blend in with the flowers.
Sure.
Once the caterpillar or the larva is big enough and it needs to molt again, but it knows, it crawls down into the leaf litter and into the dirt a little bit below the plant, and there it turns into what we know commonly as a chrysalis, and the entomologists call a pupa. And there it stays through the rest of the summer, all of fall, all of spring, all of winter, all of fall, winter, and spring, to come out in the summer.
Wow.
The butterflies that will come out next, in the summer of 2019, were born this year.
That's crazy.
They spend most of their life as a pupa, and they'll come out for a very brief life as an adult. And that's called a single brood butterfly, where it's a more notable monarch butterfly. When it migrates, it will reproduce along the way. Or hang out here in Southern California and reproduce multiple times throughout the year. There's plenty of other butterflies around here that reproduce throughout the year. But some of these blues will only reproduce once a year. So when we go down to the butterfly walks next June and July, I hold them in various places. You will be seeing adults that were born this year. That's just really crazy.
Yeah, no, that is crazy. You can see why it's so important to protect their habitat, right? Then when they're only the single brood.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're down there for a first Saturday sweep with Keep the Esplanade Beautiful, you might see some guys with pretty big lenses trying to find those
little butterflies.
Those really pretty butterflies.
See? Well, awesome. Well, I've definitely learned a lot, Anne. I mean, I've only lived out here in the South Bay for 2 years, so I'm still learning about, the environment and taking it all in. So I've loved getting these little insights from you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's fun. So when you make it to a first Saturday sweep, just introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I generally hang around. We go ballroom dancing Friday nights, and generally by Saturday morning, I'm really not interested in walking down too far, because my feeder said, "Hey, enough. Last night you had too much fun."
That's too funny. Well, now here's a question for the listeners. So I'm on the email list because I'd gone out. What's the best way for people to get updates so they have the reminders and get on that email list, or just is it to follow the Facebook group to get started, or what would you recommend?
I'd recommend starting off with the Facebook group. And we're currently busy turning over the Facebook management to another person.
Okay.
Because this is not my forte. If you want to ask me to take care of all the paperwork end of things, I'm real good at that. So we've got a new member of our essentially our steering committee, and things will be ramping up from there. But join the Facebook group, and then when you come, we'll get your email. We also have an email address that once our website goes online, and I am responsible for getting the draft text to the webmaster tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And I have a report to finish today and another conference call later. So
Busy day. Well, definitely appreciate it.
I'm going, oh man, how am I going to get all this done? So the contacting will be easier soon.
Okay.
And the web page is Keep the Esplanade Beautiful .org.
Okay.
All one word. And our email address is KEB4, just KEB4 RB.
Okay.
Gmail would not let us do a 3-letter email, so I put KEB4RB at gmail.com.
Got it.
So I hope your listeners will get that one, and then they can just, it's monitored by people, and that will help. The main gal who monitors it manages our email list.
Awesome. Very cool.
So, but hopefully we'll get to see people at the Esplanade, and you can easily get on as a member of our Facebook. It is monitored for any people that are not happy people. And so we make sure that untoward behavior is disallowed on that.
Well, I do love you guys are often posting really beautiful pictures of that area, like the sunset.
Oh,
and so it's very motivating to get out there.
Oh, yeah. I see them from my kitchen and dining room window.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be able to see the water from my house, but everybody went 2-story and the trees got bigger. So it was a periscopic view anyway.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I just see the sunsets. It's real pretty.
Yeah, I can't complain about that. Like you said, especially this time of the year, they're really, really spectacular. So,
yes, they are. The June gloom, not so good, but that's what energizes the plants in our neighborhood. Our local native plants get half of their water from the fogs and the overcast that we frequently receive here.
Okay.
And these are the ones that just live right next to the coast. If you move these plants inland, they're not going to be happy. They need to be right next to the coast.
Okay, I won't complain so much about June gloom, I guess. Or I'll try not to.
No. It's really important, and you get really used to it. And when you don't have the June gloom in May and June and early mornings for most of the year round, you start to get a little antsy. Oh, this is not good. This is not good. We need to have our morning fog.
Right. Oh, well, I'll let you get back to all the great work that you're doing, Ann, but thanks so much for being a guest.
And I look forward to meeting everybody on the Esplanade doing whatever they're doing, walking, riding, running, taking their dog out for a walk, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Enjoy
for sure.
and be healthy.
Thanks for listening to the Fit 15. For show notes and more, visit fitarmadillo.com/podcast. See you next time.